Okay, today's video is going to be on the volume of rectangular prisms. Volume, remember, is a number of cubic units needed to fill a three-dimensional shape. Okay, you can think of it, sometimes you'll see it in problems like how much juice, water, some kind of liquid some container will hold. Okay, anytime you're asked that kind of question, how much something will hold, that's going to be a volume question. How much sand will fill something, that's a volume question. How many cubic something will fit into something, any kind of cubic, three-dimensional, because volume, you know, is three-dimensional. It's length, width, and height. Okay, some of this you think you've had in the past. The answer will always be in some kind of cubic units. All right? All right, so for the formula for the volume comes from, I want to kind of explain where we get it from. Okay, suppose you had a shape that was just 1 by 3 by 2 inches. Okay, try to draw it there. How many 1-inch cubes would fill it? Well, if you think you have three on this side, 3 cubes here, and then 2 here, you can pretty easily see that you'd have, it's not very good, but that's 1, 2, 3 here, 4, 5, 6. You'd have 3 by 2 or 6 cubes that would fill it. Now suppose you added another layer. You had 2 layers like that, and you had 3 here, and then you had 2 going this way, and you could see, well, there's 6 on one layer, and then there's 6 on the other layer, so it would be 6 times 2, or 12, or 6 plus 6, which is 12. All right? Now suppose you added yet another layer. You'd have 3 layers like this, 6 on the first layer, 6 on the second layer, 6 on the third layer. So you'd have 2 times 3, 3 layers of it. That would be 18. So that's where we get the formula. The formula for any rectangular prism is going to be the length times the width times the height. Because we basically got the base, length times width, and we kept building on it, however many times the height was. So we'll do a sample problem here. To find the volume of this shape, we simply multiply 4 times 5 times 8, or 8 times, it doesn't matter what order because multiplication is commutative, so you can just mix them up any way you want to. You get 160 inches cubed. Now here's something you want to be careful of. Sometimes I see students put 160 cube inches. That would mean I'd have to cube, I have to go 160 times 160 times 160. That's not what you meant. You meant that you'd have a shape that's a cubic inch, something like this, actually a centimeter cube. You'd have 160 of these would fill this shape. That's what you mean. So you want to keep the cube on the shape because that describes the shape that you have that's filling this cube, this rectangular prism. Okay, we can talk more about that in class if you're not clear on that. Okay, so just to kind of sum up, if you had a box like this, you think about what are the dimensions of the base? Well, it's 2 by 3. So how many centimeter cubes, if we had real centimeter cubes, just like these guys, how many of these would fill up just that first layer? Would be 2 by 3 by 1. Kind of like what I just did. I'm just going over it again to make sure you understand it. Then you think, okay, so 6 layers in the first one. Okay, just like we did. There's 6 layers in the first one. How many layers do you need to fill the whole thing? Well, I need 5. I would need 5 layers, right? So it would be 2 times 3, which is the 6, times the 5. And that's going to be 30 cubic centimeters. 30 of these would fit into that shape and fill it up. And that would be the volume of that shape. Okay, one more to go. Let's do a couple of practice samples. Okay, a rectangular prism has a square base with side lengths of 3.5 feet. It stands 6 feet tall. So what's the volume? Well, here you have a square on the bottom. So that square is, the length is 3.5 and the width is 3.5. So those are your length and width. So you go 3.5 times 3.5 times your height, which is 6, and you get this answer. Okay, the next example, if you find the volume of a cube whose side lengths are 13, in other words, you have a cube which everybody's the same, the length, the width, and the height are all 13, we just go 13 times 13 times 13, or 13 cubed, and that would give you that big old number. Okay, last one, you want to find the volume and surface area. So it's a little bit of a review. It's 3 by 5 by 8. So the volume is the easy part. Just multiply those 3 together. The surface area I did 2 ways, one with the smiley face and one with the formula. So whichever way you want to think about it and do it is fine. It doesn't matter who's the length and the width and the height, really, for this kind of problem. So you can just go, you can do the smiley face 3 times 5 plus 5 times 8 plus 3 times 8 and multiply it by 2. Or you can fill in the numbers here. You can say this was your length and this was your width and this was your height and just fill it in like that. Okay, we'll talk about more and do lots of problems later.